This course is a companion to the book The Project Brain: Evolving Project Managers, available on Amazon. If you find today's session valuable, the book goes deeper on every framework you are about to learn, including the 3-tier document system, the janitor protocol, synthetic stakeholder simulations, and the full blueprint for an artificial intelligence-powered project management office you can run from your own desktop. You can find it by searching for The Project Brain by Self-Made PM on Amazon or by visiting selfmadepm.com. Now let us begin the course. 1. Welcome to this 2-hour professional development session on Tuckman's model of team development. Over the next 2 hours, you will learn the 4 stages every team moves through: how to diagnose which stage your team is currently in, and how to adapt your leadership style to each stage rather than forcing the same approach throughout the project lifecycle. This course is eligible for 2 self-reported professional development units, abbreviated PDU, with the Project Management Institute, abbreviated PMI, under the online or digital media category. It maps to the Power Skills edge of the Project Management Institute talent triangle. Let us begin. 2. By the end of this session, you will be able to do 3 things. First, you will be able to name and recognize the 4 stages of Tuckman's model, which are forming, storming, norming, and performing, and identify which stage a team is currently in. Second, you will be able to adapt your leadership style to match the needs of the current stage, moving from directive to facilitative to participative to delegative. Third, you will be able to handle the regression that happens when a team encounters a membership change, a scope change, or an external pressure. Each objective maps to a dedicated section of this course. Here's how we will spend our 2 hours together. Part 1 frames why team dynamics matter more than individual talent and introduces Tuckman's model. Part 2 walks through the forming and storming stages with practical leadership moves for each. Part 3 walks through the norming and performing stages. Part 4 covers conflict resolution by stage, regression, and the adjourning stage that was added later to the model. At the end, I will recap the objectives and walk you through exactly how to claim your professional development units. 4. Before we walk through the stages, let us name why this model matters at all. 5. Organizations obsess over hiring the best individual contributors, but project success depends far more on how people work together than on how talented they are individually. A team of average performers with strong collaboration habits will consistently outperform a team of stars who cannot coordinate. This is especially true in project management, where work is inherently interdependent. A developer cannot code what a business analyst has not defined. A tester cannot validate what a developer has not built. These handoffs create friction points where team dynamics either accelerate progress or create bottlenecks. Tuckman's model is a diagnostic tool that tells you which type of friction you are facing and how to respond. 6. Bruce Tuckman first published the model in 1965 after reviewing dozens of studies of small group behavior. He observed that groups tend to move through predictable stages, and he named 4 of them: forming, storming, norming, performing. He later added a 5th stage, adjourning, to account for the work of disbanding a team at the end of a project. 60 years later, the model remains one of the most practical frameworks in management, precisely because it describes what you will actually see rather than what anyone wishes teams would do. 7. The central insight for project managers is that the leadership style that works at one stage is the wrong leadership style at another stage. A directive approach that is appropriate in forming becomes suffocating in performing. A delegative approach that works in performing is negligent in forming. Leaders who get stuck in one mode, usually the mode that feels most comfortable to them, cap the potential of every team they lead. Leaders who can adapt their mode to the stage of the team get dramatically better outcomes from the same people. 8. Let us walk into the first two stages, which are where most of the real leadership work happens. 9. During forming, team members are polite, cautious, and focused on understanding their role within the group. People avoid conflict, defer to authority, and spend more energy figuring out social dynamics than doing productive work. This is completely normal. It is not a sign that you picked the wrong people or that the team is weak. It is a sign that the team is a team for the first time. Your instinct may be to push the team into productive work immediately. Resist that instinct. The forming work has to be done. 10. Your leadership role during forming is directive. The team needs clarity about objectives, roles, responsibilities, and working agreements. Do not assume that distributing a responsibility assignment matrix counts as establishing clarity. Hold dedicated sessions where people can ask questions, voice concerns, and begin building relationships. Set explicit ground rules for communication, decision-making, and conflict resolution. These ground rules become the foundation for the later norming stage, so invest real time in getting them right. If you are managing a distributed team across time zones, pay specific attention to how the team will communicate asynchronously, because distribution adds complexity to every stage that follows. 11. Storming is where most project managers panic. Team members begin pushing back on assignments, challenging each other's ideas, and testing boundaries. Subgroups form, passive-aggressive behavior emerges, meetings become tense. Here is the counterintuitive truth. Storming is a sign of progress. It means people care enough to voice their opinions and are invested enough to fight for their perspective. The danger is not that storming happens. The danger is that the project manager suppresses it. 12. Your role during storming shifts from directive to facilitative. Acknowledge the conflict openly. Create safe spaces for disagreement. Mediate disputes by refocusing the team on shared objectives rather than personal positions. The goal is not to eliminate conflict, but to channel it productively. A common storming conversation from the team leader sounds like this: I can see we have strong opinions on this, and I want to make sure we surface them. Let us take 20 minutes to hear each perspective, then figure out what we agree on and where we still disagree. That framing validates the conflict, bounds it in time, and redirects it toward resolution. 13. Storming triggers tend to be the same across teams. Unclear role boundaries. Disagreements about technical approach. Competing priorities across team members. Uneven workload distribution. Address these root causes rather than treating the symptoms. When team members express frustration about the process, listen carefully, because their complaints often reveal legitimate process problems you can fix. When the complaints are interpersonal, stay close, but do not try to solve other people's relationships for them. Create conditions for resolution and let the team members do the resolving. 14. Teams that navigate storming well arrive at norming, and some of them eventually reach performing. 15. When a team successfully navigates storming, it enters norming. team members begin to establish shared work habits, communication patterns, and mutual respect. People start helping each other without being asked. Inside jokes emerge. The team develops its own identity and rhythm. This stage has a specific feel. You notice that meetings move faster, that disagreements get resolved inside the team without needing you to intervene, and that decisions stick once they are made. 16. During norming, your leadership style becomes participative. Step back from directing every decision and let the team's emerging norms guide daily work. Your focus shifts to reinforcing positive behaviors, gently correcting backsliding, and protecting the team from external disruptions. This is also the stage where you should document what is working. Capture the communication cadence, the decision-making approach, and the collaboration patterns the team has organically developed. These documented norms become your recovery playbook if the team regresses due to membership changes or external pressures. 17. Performing teams operate with high autonomy, high trust, and high productivity. Members anticipate each other's needs, resolve conflicts quickly and independently, and focus their energy on delivering results rather than navigating interpersonal dynamics. You can recognize performing when you can go on vacation for a week and come back to find the team did not slow down. 18. Your role during performing is delegative. Get out of the way. Provide the team with objectives and constraints, then trust them to figure out the best path forward. Your primary job becomes removing obstacles, managing external stakeholders, and ensuring the team has the resources it needs. The mistake leaders make in performing is continuing to operate the team actively because that is the habit they have built. Active management in performing is not helpful. It is insulting. It signals that you do not trust the team, and it creates the conditions for regression back to earlier stages. 19. Not every team reaches performing, and that is an important reality check. Short-duration projects may never get past norming. Teams with frequent membership changes may cycle through forming and storming repeatedly. The goal is not to rush through the stages. The goal is to lead effectively within whichever stage your team currently occupies, and to help the team progress when the conditions allow. 20. Let us close with the practical mechanics that most models skip. 21. Conflict looks different at each stage and requires a different response. In forming, conflict is hidden and should be surfaced through structured feedback mechanisms such as one-on-ones and anonymous check-ins. In storming, conflict is open and should be mediated with a focus on interests rather than positions. In norming, conflict is constructive and should be encouraged within established boundaries. In performing, conflict is rare and typically resolves itself through team-developed processes. The common mistake is applying a one-size-fits-all approach to conflict resolution. Early-stage conflict needs surfacing. Middle-stage conflict needs mediating. Late-stage conflict needs little from you at all. 22. Teams can cycle back to earlier stages when new members join, when scope changes significantly, or when the team faces unexpected pressure. This regression is normal and temporary if you recognize it and respond appropriately. A new member arriving into a performing team will often drop the team back into forming or storming briefly, and that is not a failure of the team. It is the cost of the new person integrating. The playbook you documented during norming is what you pull out in these moments to reestablish the norms with the new member. 23. It is rare but possible, particularly when team members have strong prior working relationships, or when the project manager establishes exceptionally clear roles and expectations during forming. However, suppressed storming often resurfaces later in more disruptive ways, usually during the most critical delivery window. It is generally healthier to allow storming to occur in a controlled, early environment than to suppress it and discover it during crunch time. 24. Tuckman added adjourning later to account for the work of disbanding a team at the end of a project. Project managers routinely skip this stage and their teams pay a cost. Adjourning is the work of formally closing out the team, which includes celebrating accomplishments, capturing lessons learned, acknowledging individual contributions, and helping team members transition to their next roles. Done well, adjourning leaves team members more willing to work with you on the next project, which compounds your ability to staff future teams with people who already trust you. Done badly, adjourning produces the quiet resentment that follows project managers around the organization for years. 25. When a new member joins an existing team, structured onboarding is your highest leverage move. Explicitly teach the team norms rather than letting the new member discover them the hard way. Introduce the communication cadence, the decision-making approach, the escalation path, and the informal working agreements. A thoughtful onboarding can compress the regression caused by a new arrival from weeks to days. 26. Let us recap. You now know the 4 core stages of Tuckman's model and the adjourning stage that was added later. You can recognize the behavioral signatures of forming, storming, norming, and performing. You can adapt your leadership style from directive in forming to facilitative in storming to participative in norming to delegative in performing. You know how to handle the conflict characteristic of each stage, how to absorb the regression that comes with membership and scope changes, and how to close a team well when the project ends. Your next step this week is to diagnose the current stage of one team you lead and name the single leadership move that matches that stage. 27. To claim your 2 professional development units, log into your Project Management Institute dashboard at the Continuing Certification Requirements System, which is abbreviated CCRS. Select Report Professional Development Units. Choose the category labeled Online or Digital Media. Enter the course title exactly as shown on your certificate, which is Tuckman's Model of Team Development, leading your team through every stage. Enter the date you completed the course. Enter the provider name as Self-Made PM. Enter the Professional Development Unit value of 2 allocated to the Power Skills area of the Talent Triangle. Retain your certificate of completion in case of an audit. Self-Made PM is not a Project Management Institute authorized training partner, and professional development units on this platform are self-reported. Thank you for spending these 2 hours with me. I will see you in the next course. Thank you for completing this course. If the ideas in this session spark something for you, the next step is the book. The Project Brain, Evolving Project Managers is available now on Amazon and goes far beyond what we could cover in this session. It contains the complete system for building, maintaining, and scaling an artificial intelligence-powered project management office. The full janitor protocol with templates, deeper stakeholder simulation patterns, and real-world case studies from practitioners who have saved 10 to 15 hours per week using these methods. You can find more free courses, tools, and articles at selfmadepm.com. Again, thank you for your time, and remember to log your professional development units. I will see you in the next course. 29.